Everyone. We are really happy to present a group project. Our team, myself, Vivek, Advait, and Mihir, chose to explore business process management or BPM. Before we dive into it, let's have a quick look at the firm that we had studied. Raiffeisen Bank International is a large Austrian banking group that operates across Central and Eastern Europe, offering retail, corporate, and investment banking services. Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo, one of its key subsidiaries, was the focus of our research. We had the opportunity to interview Mrs. Azemi, the manager of process efficiency at Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo, who has overseen BPM implementation across various business functions and later drove process improvements using robotic process automation or RPA. So, what exactly is BPM? It's a framework that organizations use to define, analyze, design, implement, and improve how their business processes are executed. The aim is to make operations more efficient, measurable, and aligned with the company goals. Now, let's have a look how process improvement happens through BPM. So, there are four major steps. First is to start small, pilot BPM on one process before scaling. Then combine process improvement with strong change management. Use BPM data for continuous improvement and automation. And finally, apply suitable methods to remove bottlenecks and improve the full process. Overall, BPM creates a continuous cycle of improvement, helping organizations enhance efficiency, collaboration, and readiness for automation. With that, I'll now hand it over to Advait, who will explain how BPM was applied in practice at Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo.
Thank you, Vivek. So, when we interviewed Mrs. Azemi, she gave us a fascinating look into how BPM was actually applied within her banking organization. Their journey began with an organization wide BPM implementation. Each major process went through a transformation through BPM. We consider a single process, the financial reconciliation process, for the rest of the presentation. A bit about this process: it is a long 10-step process with a number of manual steps involved. In essence, the process is about getting transactions from different sources, reconciling them, and ensuring that they match. Errors are reported, and the statistics of the process are recorded for continuous improvement. Now, let us see how the BPM lifecycle was applied on this process and how it was improved. First step is the identification of the process. Every stakeholder related to the process is interviewed. The business process is modeled precisely, and the stakeholders confirm the visualization of the process. An IT system is set up to manage, visualize, and monitor the process, with setting up a governance system to manage and improve the process. Next stage comes the analysis phase. All the problems and bottlenecks are identified in this phase. The process was traditionally performed manually, consuming time up to 60 minutes per day. Employees were facing considerable burden due to a massive workload that required them to manually analyze more than 160 files per day to extract precise information. Then comes the process redesign in order to improve the business process. It is further the bigger process is divided into three distinct but smaller processes. They are the reconciliation processes for daily transactions, Mastercard transactions, and a process for ATM cash monitoring and reporting. Now comes the interesting part: the process re implementation through RPA, robotic process automation. Essentially, built an IT bot to perform the task. Here are the automation implementations for the three cases. The slides show a summary of it. So, the criteria for automation is high task frequency, rule based and repetitive activities, structured and semi structured input data formats. Finally, what is the results and impact? Let us come to that. So we can see that the metrics like daily execution time, annual time savings, and estimated FTE savings are have been improved massively through the implementation. But what is more important is the organizational impact, which is the BPM implementation along with RPA automation not only improved the speed but also improved the process accuracy and stability. The bot has achieved a 100% success rate during routine days. The entire organization has been having a shift in mindset towards innovation and continuous improvement. Now I'll pass it to Meher to discuss how this company's approach compares to the best practices and what recommendations we would give as advisors.
Thanks, Advait. So now let's look at the company's BPM approach and how it compares with academic best practices. and then we'll share our recommendations for the same, right? So when we mapped them side by side, we found strong alignment in several areas and along with it some room for improvement. So starting with implementation, best practice suggests starting small and scaling gradually. While the company launched organization wide BPM efforts, it was ambitious but it increased early complexity. On change management, the literature emphasizes communication and stakeholder engagement, and the company did this very well, showing a strong cultural focus. In the leadership was another strength with clear ambition and active sponsorship, fully in line with best practices. Technology also aligned perfectly, and BPM was used to enable automation through RPA. However, performance metrics was a weaker spot. Best practice calls for defining KPIs early, but they were introduced later, which limited early performance tracking. So, in summary, the company excelled in leadership, communication, and culture, but could improve by defining measurable KPIs earlier, which is a factor for long term success. Now, if we were advising this organization, we would recommend five practical actions. Firstly, to integrate BPM with tools like Lean Six Sigma to quantify efficiency gains. Secondly, to define KPIs before automation, for example, reconciliation time, accuracy rate, and error reduction. Thirdly, to set up a governance committee to review the processes quarterly and keep BPM active and not static. Fourthly, is to encourage bottom up innovation by rewarding employee ideas that improve processes. And lastly, to apply BPM selectively, focusing on high impact tasks, not on creative or fast changing ones. And finally, to conclude, BPM is more than a management fad, and with the right culture, it transforms organizations. In this case, it built a process driven culture and enabled automation through RPA. But ultimately, its success comes not from technology alone, but from people, communication, and leadership. Thank you.